Hi everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we'll be going through question 6 of the 2023 NSC Mathematics Paper 2 exam. So let's see what it says. We've got a diagram here in front of us. We've got the graphs f of x, which is equal to 2 sine 2x. That's this one over here. And we've got g of x, which is minus cos x plus 45, which is this one over here. So those are given to us. It's over the interval, the x interval x 0 to 180 degrees. And we're also given this point A, which is at 105 and minus 1. And that lies on F. Okay, 6.1 is a very simple question for just 1 mark. Write down the period of F. So the period is how many x values it takes for the whole graph to repeat itself. So the graph over a period of, it takes a period of 0 to 180 to get back to where it started and then continue in the same pattern, right? So the answer to question 6.1 is simply 180 degrees. 6.2, determine the range of g in the interval. In this interval that's given to us, the range of g is, of course, we want the maximum y value and the minimum. Okay, so as we can see here, the minimum is at the point x is equal to 0, right? The x value, that's not the y value, that's the x value, which gives us the minimum y value. And we've also got an x value of 135 that gives us the maximum y value, which is the stop point over here. Right, so what is the y value of g at x is equal to 0? So g is, so we want g of 0, so that is minus cos 0 plus 45 degrees, and that's going to give us minus cos of 45 degrees. And you should know your special angles. That's going to give us minus root 2 over 2. And then we also plug in g of 135. That's going to give us minus cos 135 plus 45, which is minus cos, and that's 180. Right? And again, you should know that if you know the cos graph, and we can actually see here, that's just 1. Okay, right, so the range is, we can go as low down as minus 2, minus root 2 over 2, up until 1. And that is the answer for 6.2. Okay, let me erase and make some space here before I go on to 6.3. 6.3. So we've got here, determine the values of x in this interval, which is given to us, where f of x multiplied by g of x is greater than 0. Okay, so that's 6.3.1. Okay, so f of x times g of x is greater than 0. Now, for the product of two numbers to be greater than 0, we need either both numbers to be negative or both numbers to be positive. Okay, so for this one, we need both f and g to be negative, right? Or we need both f and g to be positive. To be positive. Okay, so therefore, if we can just look on the graph here, we can get our answer. Where is the interval where both f and g are negative? So here, in this area, f is positive, g is negative. In this area, they're both positive. Okay, so that works for us. And in this whole area here, f is negative, g is positive. So we need just what's in between here. We can see it's strict inequality. So the answer is we're going to have x greater than or equal to, sorry, not greater than or equal to, strictly greater than 45 degrees and strictly less than 90 degrees, which as you can see is right here in between. Okay, 6.3.2. So here we've got fx plus 1, fx plus 1 is less than or equal to 0. So this is the same as, I can just manipulate this just a little. I can just take the 1 to the minus side. So I'm looking everywhere on the graph where f is below minus 1. So where's minus 1? Minus 1 is here. Right? So the only place where f is below is, as you can see, right here in between. Right? And this is, as we can see here, a as 105 as the x value. So this one would be equidistant from 135 as 105. So that's going to be this point here will then be 135 plus 30, which is going to be 165. So make sure you understand that. Again, just we know that this value here is 105, that's given to us by A, and here we've got 135 in the middle, so we're going to have to go another 30 degrees to get to the x coordinate of this point here. So what's in between here, so the required interval we're looking for is as follows. So x is an element of, we've got square brackets because it's less than or equal to, so it's 105 degrees and 165 degrees. And that is it for question 6.3. Okay, so let me make some space here before I move on to 6.4. 6.4 as follows. Another graph P is defined as Px is equal to minus f of x. Okay, so that means P of x, f of x is here, so that's 2 sine 2x. So P is going to be minus 2 sine 2x. Okay, what does the question want? We've got a point D, k minus 1. So this point lies on P of x. Okay, determine the values of k in the interval 0 to 180. Okay, so what is k? So what we have is that P of k is going to equal to minus 1, right? Because plug in the x, we get out the y. P of k gives us minus 1. Now we know what P looks like. It looks like this. So that means that minus 2 sine 2k is equal to minus 1. Okay, I'm going to divide both sides by minus 2. So that factor over there. So I'm going to get sine 2k minus 1 minus 2. And that's just the same as 1 over 2. Right. So sine of what is going to give me a half? Well, at this point, you should know your special angles again. We know that, I'll write it here on the side, sine 30 is equal to a half, and sine 180 minus 30 also gives a half, because sine is positive in the first and the second quadrant. Okay, so continuing, we get, therefore, 2k is equal to 30, or 2k is equal to 180 minus 30, which is 150. So therefore, k is equal to 15, just dividing by 2, or k is equal to 75, again, just dividing by 2. And that is the answer to 6.4. Moving on to 6.5. 6.5 says graph H is obtained when G is translated 45 degrees to the left. Okay, determine the equation of H. Write your answer in its simplest form. Okay, so we've got G of X is equal to minus cos 45, or it's actually written as X plus 45, right? So H of X is G of X translated 45 to the left. Okay, so when we're shifting to the left, that means whatever's inside is going to be, whatever's inside the bracket here, we must add 45 degrees. So therefore, H of X is equal to G of X plus 45. Now, this is often counterintuitive. When you think to the left, that's a negative. So shouldn't it be minus? No, it should be plus indeed. You need to know that. So H of X is equal to G of X plus 45. That's the change that we make when we translate in the x-axis to the left, right? If it was to the right, it would have been minus 45. In any case, what we do is now we substitute this into this here. So it's going to be minus cos, I see a x, I'm going to replace it with x plus 45. So I've got x plus 45 and then plus still the remaining 45. Okay, so that is minus cos x plus 90, right? Now, the question says, write this in its simplest form. Now, if you know your trig graphs or your trig identities well enough, you will immediately recognize that this is, if you have minus cos x plus 90, then this is the same as actually just sine of x. If you didn't know that, you can observe it as follows. So what we said was, if we look at the graph, what we took is we took G and we shifted it to the left 90 degrees, 45 degrees. So this point here moves to here. So H is going to look something like this. Also this point here moves to this point here. So that's at 90 and 1. This point here is 0, 0. So you've got something that looks like this. And it's going to come down to 180 and then continue. Now, if you look at the graph again, also you can recognize that that is actually just the sine graph. And that's how we know in its simplest form, H of X looks like this. Okay, and that's it for question 6.5, and that does bring me to the end of this video.